Hofstra Entertainment has been in existence on the Hofstra campus since the mid-1980s, actually, and we were very, very actively producing shows that were produced in conjunction with conferences through the Hofstra Cultural Center, as well as shows that stood on their own. We have since developed into an incredibly vibrant and very active producing company on campus. And we continue to present shows that are presented in conjunction with Hofstra conferences, as well as a full summer season, some offerings during January, and basically we are producing throughout the entire year. We've been very, very fortunate over the past number of years, at least in the 20 years that I have been here, to really be able to feature some incredibly amazing talent and present original productions, musicals, non-musicals, one-act plays, one-man shows. We were very, very lucky to work with the award-winning actor Tony Lobianco in a re-premiering of his piece about Fiorello H. LaGuardia several years ago during our summer season. We've worked with the Tony Award-winning actress Tova Feldscher on a piece about Sarah Bernhardt a number of years ago. We were delighted to welcome back one of our wonderful alums, Susan Sullivan, in a benefit performance of Agnes of God several years ago, which also featured one of our Hofstra students. So it really has been a unique and wonderful journey, a theatrical journey for us, with pieces that have varied from the wonderful to the ridiculous to the sublime, perhaps. I am very excited, as are many of our patrons who have been voicing their enthusiasm over the summer season that is now knocking at our heated doorstep, starting with the appearance here on campus of Broadway's original Annie, Andrea McArdle, to open our 2010 summer season, doing her cabaret act. We'll be following that up with the world premiere of A Tribute to a Legend. Robert Davi sings Sinatra, bringing back one of our esteemed and distinguished alums, the internationally renowned actor Robert Davi. We follow that up with a delightful and very, very heartwarming and charming comedy called The Last Night of Ballyhoo by Alfred Ury, who also penned the play Driving Miss Daisy. And we close out the season, very appropriately so. We opened with the original Annie, that being Andrea McArdle, and we close with a full-blown production of the wonderful classic family musical, Annie. With Andrea McArdle and her specific cabaret concert called You Don't Know Me, it's very unique because I think most people do recall and know her as Broadway's Annie. But in this instance, I think people will be delighted to realize or learn that she's been on Broadway. She's been involved in Beauty and the Beast. She was actually seen, I think, also in several Paper Mill Playhouse productions. I mean, she really has done her time and has had a wonderful Broadway and off-Broadway and regional career. She's traveled all over the country. And we are, of course, delighted to have her here presenting her cabaret act. And she also, I'm told, and from what I've gathered in speaking with her, is that not only will she be presenting some wonderful Broadway songs, but she'll also be singing some pop songs and other songs that have meant a lot to her. So I think it really makes it a very, very unique and very personal performance. So for 2 performances in June in the Monroe Lecture Center Theater, we will get to know Andrea McArdle. Our distinguished alum, Robert Davi, who has graced the campus now on several occasions over the last several years. First was several years ago when we had him here for our James Bond conference. Of course, many people may remember Robert as the villain Sanchez in the James Bond film License to Kill. But what people probably don't know, that this wonderful actor, this actor who has a face that is incredibly recognizable, as well as a voice that is really quite recognizable. He's been on television in The Profiler. He's been on so many different television shows, and of course has appeared in many, many films, including Goonies, the cult, which has now become a cult classic, celebrating its 25th anniversary, I think, this year. Robert had a wonderful career here as a student in the drama department, but was also a fabulous singer, a classically trained singer. So he's returning to those roots with something that is very, very appropriate, a tribute to a legend, in which he will be performing some of the songs of Frank Sinatra, backed by a 30-piece orchestra. I mean, this is an orchestra that is made up of first-class, world-class musicians, many of whom actually performed with Sinatra. And our opening act, our opening comedy act for this particular show will be Tom Dreesen, the legendary stand-up comedian Tommy Dreesen, who, of course, toured with Sinatra for 14 years. So there really will be, Sinatra will be in the air, and I've been certainly taking advantage of the fact that Sinatra is being celebrated very, very close by to us here in New York City with Twyla Tharp's new show, but ultimately I'm saying that people should come fly with us this summer for 3 performances in July, on July 16th, 17th, and 18th, for the world premiere of Davi Sings Sinatra. In Alfred Urey's very, very bittersweet but wonderfully charming comedy, The Last Night at Ballyhoo, we are exposed to a period in history that is both moving and very, very emotional and very poignant. I mean, it's the opening night of Gone with the Wind, and it's 1939 in Atlanta, Georgia. And I don't want to give too much away about the plot, but ultimately we are exposed to a very, very unique family who has many challenges to overcome. And it really is, it's a wonderful story. There's a universal quality about the piece. And in keeping with, or at least in trying to keep with, a certain thematic feel for our summer season this year, this being 2010, which certainly marks the 2010-2011 area in which Hofstra is celebrating its 75th anniversary, I looked very hard to find pieces that tied into that. And certainly the Robert Davi piece with Frank Sinatra really coming onto the scene in 1935 when he was first heard on Major Bowes, a very important year for Frank Sinatra and a very important year for Hofstra. Of course, Ballyhoo being set in 1939, not that far off the calendar year, but very much in keeping with the period and the spirit of that particular time. So I think very, very appropriate. And this is a charming play, and it's been a while since we have presented a play of this nature and of this caliber. So I thought it was appropriate to put something that was a little more thought-provoking and really spoke a little bit to the heart and the mind and the soul in this particular season. It's certainly been a good number of years since Annie has graced the Hofstra stages, and I think the last time that Annie was produced here, at that time by the Grey Wig, was back in the 1990s. I think it was the early 90s, perhaps. So it's really been quite some time. It seemed to fit the whole 1935 theme very, very appropriately, and how appropriate to open with, again, Broadway's original Annie and close with Annie the musical, and we certainly hope to encourage Andrea McArdle to be with us on opening night. But it is going to be, I think, a wonderful cast. The show is fully cast and begins rehearsals quite soon. Again, a full orchestra. By the way, the dog has already been cast. Although the dog's name in real dog life is not Sandy, I think it's actually Mandy or Randy or Brandy, actually. So we're close, but we're close. So we're really very excited about that. But Annie really fits the theme, and it has been quite some time that we have been able to present such a wonderful family musical, and we certainly are hoping and expecting to see younger audiences. We're hoping to see families coming in full force for this wonderful, delightful show, which really is for audiences of all ages. And yeah, it's been a while since, Oliver has been seen on the stage, as well as The Sound of Music, but we felt that it was time, and Annie certainly was a very, very appropriate choice. We're certainly hoping that all of the children who have been cast in this show will eventually become Hofstra students. So it's a great tool for recruiting. And moreover, it is also the 125th anniversary this year of the original poem on which the Annie comic strip was based. So there's a lot of anniversary-like elements floating around this summer, which, for what it may be worth, makes it all very exciting and very, very interesting. So we're hoping that people will immediately, after viewing this and listening to me, will immediately get to the phone, get to the computer, and then reach out and learn a little bit more about our 2010 summer season, and call 516-463-6644, which is the box office. Hours are Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3:45 p.m. They can order tickets online at hofstra.edu/Hofstra Entertainment or at tickets.com. Tickets are available for all shows. We try to encourage people to order tickets in advance and not wait until the last minute, or not just expect to get tickets at the box office on the evening or day of the performance. It's much better to order in advance and have your choice sooner than later. So pick up that phone and call 516-463-6644 for one incredibly hot summer of entertainment.